Mzansi, hello. Mzansi, how are you? Hello and welcome to Mzansi. We're back again. It is that time of the night where we have to talk about what happened to Senzo's case. And I know some of you are probably sleeping, some of you are still up because you're waking, but we're here. What matters is that we are here, we're not missing in action. So the question is now Steyn a credible witness or not?
No.
Is he gonna stand the time of this cross-examination that we're seeing? But it seems as if the state keeps on poking the hole as much as they can. The question is Rata seeing that or not? And let us see and hear what happened in that court. Please like the video and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Comment if you don't comment. Remember, this is your channel. Say your piece, share your piece, become a member for those who are not still members, and we welcome you. The first one to comment was Tembelani Kany, who's our member. It's a great thing that our members are still up, some of them. So let us hear what Emily has to say about that.
Okay, I'm gonna start with reading this tweet. It's from Society News. It says, on Friday, Senzo Meyiwa trial sits until 12 p.m., 2 hours and 45 minutes, including the short 15-minute adjournment cause Colonel Steyn has an important flight to catch at 4 p.m., right? They cannot start earlier at 9 a.m. because Judge Ratam Kwatling's favorite colonel must have his breakfast.
Oh, yeah. That's what other people are thinking, and that's what those are the views of it. The question is, what are you thinking when I get on your side? And don't forget to like the video, guys. It's part of the contribution. And thank you for those who have been pouring on terms of super chats and the gifts. Thank you very much. You came bearing gifts, and we really appreciate them in this channel. We really appreciate them very much. So, Emily, let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I found that very funny because that's exactly what happened at the end of the court proceedings. Like, okay, we can't start at night because he must have his breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, cross-examination of Lieutenant Colonel Steyn continued this morning over the alleged calls between Kelly Khumalo and accused number 5, Sifisokuhle Ntuli. And Baloyi said that court started late this morning because accused number 4, coming from Waterbury prison, was late, and the court requested that Vodacom forensic supervisor Pinkifa Ntelengam should be at court today, or rather yesterday. She was supposed to be at court, apparently, allegedly, but she can't be there, is what Baloyi said, because she's committed for the next 2 days. That's Thursday and Friday. She can only be here on Monday, or she can only attend court on Monday.
If she will ever attend that court, because eventually the judge then comes and say, there is basically, in a nutshell, no need to do that. After having thought about what was requested, as the compiler of the so-called document is one and only Steyn, but it does not matter where you reference the data from. They will never bring a witness from the states like that, more so a witness of Pinky's status, because you saw what she did eventually. She blew this case open. Now you bring Pinky in that court to what? To actually even put more dent in this case. So every witness that you might think of, please add 2 days or 2 hours on top of everything so that you can see that witness after a bit of coaching, in my opinion. So it couldn't have been the case. Those who predicted that she's not gonna come, yes, I was thinking about like that yesterday also. Unfortunately, I couldn't be on that show. I hope that today I'm gonna be allowed to be on that show. I'm hoping that anything that might try to stop me. It's not going to happen. But yes, you can have a witness of such coming back like that. And the reason why, there is always a reason why the states, the order of the witnesses that are coming is such that the other one, when the other one comes, there's questions left for the other one that was here. So if you give that chance, even with Steyn coming back, you see what it's doing a damage. So Pinky coming back like that, I was gonna think we are facing a different state now, not the one that we are facing. So I didn't expect Pinky to come. And not at all. After a judge realizes that it actually can, in my opinion, blow this case even more open, because Steyn will have to debunk Steyn on that stand. So that was going to be a problem. So it came with a new theory, yes, of saying that the compiler is Steyn. So it does not matter where you got the data, the source of the data, even if the source of the data is available, as long as you are the one who just copied whatever that Pinky had and put it on the other side, then you become the compiler. Pinky does not matter, according to the judge, as long as your handwriting is there. So that's the reason, and that is enough for the judge to actually, that shows you the mentality of this judge, what is willing to accept. But Emily, continue. Let's like the video.
You know, it becomes tricky because now, during Khumalo's cross-examination, we discover that, you know what, there could be a tussle between Pinky's evidence and Steyn's evidence.
All these people have been moving like that. And
now, it's like Pinky's the one who produced the discrepancies according to Steyn. That's how he's creating that impression thereof. You know, creating that whole confusion that he did nothing wrong on his part. Now the ball must go back to Pinky. Pinky's the one who maybe did not record proper information because he got the downloads and also got the Section 205. It's a mess. It's a genuine mess. So yes, guys, the judge said that he made the request because there was an allegation that he said that the person can't testify on the documents of somebody else, but he said that Pinky can't testify on the affidavit of Veiws. Now Steyn said that he is the one who composed the document, and they say he can't testify on that because it's a document of Vodacom. But his evidence, he compiled this document using the numbers of accused number 5, Kelly, and the numbers of the deceased. So Steyn composed the Section 205 from Vodacom now. That is the question I had. Steyn composed the Section 205 from Vodacom. Okay, this is tricky now. Becoming it to such it may be that Steyn, you said you didn't compile the information, especially now when it got hot with Khumalo's cross-examination. Now he was denying the Section 205. But now he was saying, okay, I composed some parts of the Section 205 from the Vodacom. Pinky and I work together. And then when it gets hot, no, I can't testify on that document. I did not compile that document. Which one is it, Steyn? Which one is it? Then the judge said that the evidence in this court is that once Vodacom has delivered the 205 documents to the police or the TSU, the Technical Support Unit, they become their own property. But in this instance, Steyn was denying the discrepancies between his Excel worksheet and the PDF from Vodacom. And he even went further to say that it's like selling a Bentley. The judge was saying it's like selling a Bentley. Once you pay that 8 million after taking it from whoever, it becomes yours. He said that's his view. But it's different with an affidavit, obviously. And I couldn't help but wonder, but why is the judge acting like these documents are not the exact copies of each other, or at least they're supposed to be? Why is he not acknowledging the discrepancies. I mean, he's acting like the defense lawyers are making everything up. They're making those discrepancies that they're pointing out and that they do not exist as far as he's concerned. He said that Steyn said he compiled exhibit triple K5C. But why did he not mention the triple K5 document from Vodacom that Steyn compiled his triple K5C from? You know, so Steyn repeated that he used the downloads and the section 205 and he combined the two and retired Colonel Lambertus Steyn said that the data analyst was supposed to now show them how he compiled his document. He said that he used the downloads in the section 205 and compared the two. Steyn said that he hoped that they could finish today or tomorrow because he was not going to be available next week or the day after. The judge said that he had no control of that, and he said that tomorrow he needed to be at the airport by 2 o'clock. But of course, later on, he said by 4 o'clock. So he said that he will leave at around 1 o'clock if the roads are open. So the court had asked Steyn to explain how he put the document together, and Mnisi asked if the explanation that Steyn is about to give means that he must pause his cross-examination. The judge said he can ask for clarity at a later stage. So the judge asked Baloyi to read section 67 that said that the judge at any stage may recall a person and re-examine them. You know what the funny part about this is that today, in my opinion, it seemed like the judge was more confused than he had ever been by Steyn's evidence. That's my opinion. So what's gonna happen now is gonna recall him again to clarify more things. So I wished I could have asked him, you know, do you understand Steyn's evidence now? Because honestly, we are more confused than when he testified for the first time. So Advocate Charles Mnisi continued with the cross-examination of Lambertus Steyn, and the compilation of cell phone data by Vodacom, he said, was governed by the provision of Section 25 of Act 2002, which is the Electronic Communication and Transaction Act. He said that's the authority that empowers them to compile cell phone records and data. And he was asking Steyn that in your case, what body of legislation or authority empowers you? And Steyn asked the judge if Mr. Mnisi could address him as Colonel instead of Mr. Steyn. You know, and it became very weird for a second there. I'm like, okay, so this is the battle of the titles now. And the judge was trying to diffuse the situation. It's like, but he referred to as Colonel Steyn. It's like, no, he did not. The judge said that Colonel Steyn, on his behalf, he will be the one to address him as Colonel Steyn. And Steyn thought, you know, this is not good enough, you know. He wasn't happy about it. But then he said the investigation officer applied through the normal legal way to get hold of the documentation, which has been signed by the magistrate, and that way they receive it in a legal way. Mnisi still insisted on him giving the act, but Steyn said that he received a sworn statement from the investigating officer which authorizes him to do what he does. So there's no particular law that Steyn could quote that protects him from executing the task of looking at people's cell phones. He couldn't mention it. I don't think it exists. By the evidence of Steyn, I don't know if it exists. I was under the impression that police just take your phones, but listening now with these court proceedings and learning everything that we're learning, we're finding out that everything is procedural. They have to get permission to do that. They can't just get a hold of your cell phone and start looking at it. Even if they do look at it, however, the evidence, it doesn't become useful in a court of law if it was not obtained in a legal manner. So the fact that Steyn could not quote something yana, some lonyana, some something yana. You know, I gave him the side. I am like, but do we want to do things properly or not? You understand what I'm saying? So I wasn't expecting him to struggle with this question like this, but he was really struggling. He was talking about Section 205s, you know. He said that he thinks that the section is 36. He thinks. He's not even sure. He thinks that it's Section 36 that allows him to make use of any exhibit to prove that crime has been committed. But he could be wrong. He knows that there is a section that allows him to work under. So Mnisi forgot to say Colonel again and addressed him as Mr. And the judge said that maybe he must pass through him first before addressing Steyn so that there's less tension. And Nisi said that he does not think that he's committing an offense by addressing Steyn as Mr. because he always forgets, you know. And Mgomezulu stood, you know, I was like, okay, Mgomezulu perhaps can assist in this situation. He stood to say that he wants to establish the difference between a title and a rank because Colonel Steyn is an ex-police officer and a title remains with him until he dies. So why are they referring to him as Colonel if he's no longer a police officer? And I also remember how wobbly wobbly his explanation Colonel Steyn of how he's retired, but he somehow retired before the age of retirement. Do you guys remember that he took an early retirement? Some people were even speculating that maybe he resigned. I remember that tricky explanation at the beginning when he testified for the first time last year. It was also very dodgy. I remember even him giving his age, and his age was like, okay, but why are you retiring so soon? So now he wants the title of Colonel. He wants to be addressed as Colonel, even though he has retired, you know. And Mgomezulu was asking, why must we now refer to him as Colonel because this person is no longer a police officer? The judge said it's because he prefers it that way. So he prefers, if I enter a court and I prefer to be called the doctor, does that mean that now I must be called a doctor? I don't understand when he says he prefers it that way. I mean, being called Mr. shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, he's moved all his career, I'm sure, at some instances being called Mr. Steyn, and he didn't mind. And all of a sudden, now that he has to answer difficult questions at a court of law, he wants to be referred to as a colonel all the time. Even last year when he testified, he never brought this up that, no, call me colonel even though I'm retired. In fact, he was very excited to retire, you know. He was very cheerful in that aspect of things, but not for once did he hammer or insist that he be addressed as Colonel. Very strange, the things that he was doing today. Well, Mgomezulu asked again that can we get direction from the court? We cannot get direction from the witness as to how we need to address him. Well, they said that he will remain Mr. Steyn. In that witness box, he is Mr. Steyn. And I was like, but hey, these titles are tricky, you know. Titles also, not just, they are earned, you know. For someone to be called a doctor, there's lots of hours of studying and working that they have gone into that title. Even, you know, titles are not just willy-nilly and they are not enforced. You understand what I'm saying? So if someone has put in the work, let them be addressed by how they've put in the work. But at this moment in time, Steyn, you're retired, and the worst thing is that you are being recalled for work that is looking rather shady. You know, for you to insist that you are called by a job title that you no longer do is very, very boring at this point, you know. And he's no longer a police officer, so he must just let it go. Mgomezulu said that in that witness box, he is Mr. Steyn. He's no longer a police officer, but an ordinary citizen of this country. And Steyn said that he is still holding his rank. But how? But how are you holding your rank, Steyn, when you are retired? You know, Mgomezulu then told him that they will address him as Mr. Steyn, not as Colonel. And Steyn said that his statement is that of when he was a colonel in the police officer. Yes, your statement, not you. You are retired, Steyn. Your statement still says Colonel, however, you are retired. That's because that statement was done a long time ago, Akira. It was done while you still held your position. Now you no longer hold that position. So there's a whole obsession of wanting to bully people to call you Colonel. It didn't make any sense, and that's when I knew today is gonna be very interesting. Well, Steyn became very irritable and said, I have no purpose in court anymore. The work done while I was still a police officer. The judge asked if that is what he was implying, that if he is no longer a policeman, he can no longer testify. And Steyn said that's correct. Then the judge said that he does not think that's what Mgomezulu meant, or he meant it in that way. You could clearly see that Judge Rata didn't want to upset Steyn. You know, he didn't want to upset him. Ramasipili then said that for the sake of progress, this was becoming a joke. Whether he's a colonel or a mister, as long as there's no insult, let us proceed. And I agreed with him in that moment. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Steyn, what is going on? Like, you're wasting time. You are throwing tantrums. What is going on? And Mnisi said that in the same vein as the court would address him as Mr. Mnisi, he is an advocate. That's his title. But throughout the proceedings, the court has been referring to him as Mr. Mnisi, and he never took offense to that. So he said that he finds no logical offense for Steyn to take offense when he is referred to as Mr., because that's not an insult. Mnisi asked for that body of law that empowers Steyn in the police to go and investigate a person's cell phone. And Steyn says that it's Section 205. So that's the body of law. We move from Section 36 that he was not sure about to Section 205. And Nisi asked him, is that the same Section 205 that authorizes you that after you have received information from Vodacom, for your purposes of analyzing that information you receive from Vodacom, you also need to add the 2-hour grace in your analysis in order to come to that particular result? And Steyn said that the 2-hour rule had nothing to do with the statement. Then Mnisi asked him, where do you derive that law of the 2 hours? And Steyn said that the XRY program is the one that tells you to add 2 hours. It's simple like that. Mnisi told him to make that information that he is working on Excel, then he needs to add 2 hours. He must make it available. They need to see it. I don't know if it will ever come through. I highly doubt it. But then Mnisi turned his attention to the downloads of Kelly Khumalo's phone. And Mnisi said that I heard the court say that Exhibit K5 and Exhibit K5C, you are the one who prepared the documents. And Steyn said no, he printed them to use them here in court. He said he never compiled those documents by himself. But later on, he changes the tune. Hi, man. Allegedly, Steyn is a liar. No, man. No. The contradictions are too many. So Mnisi then said, you never changed anything on this document, which is the product of Vodacom. And Steyn said that's correct. And Mnisi asked him, can you show us where there is communication between the numbers ending 4358, which is said to be that of Kelly Khumalo, and the number ending 9202, which is said to belong to accused number 5. Then Steyn said, if you look at that document, it won't be there. So Mnisi then said, these documents you then brought here don't show the calls between the number ending 4358 and 202. And Steyn said, that's correct, but the phone shows data is being used. Here we are entering the data dynamics situation. We are moving away from proper phone calls that are supposed to have taken place. He is slotting it in now. He said that, in other words, the Blackberry web that she was using was active. That is what you can read on that paper. You can see data is being used. I'm like, Tata Steyn. Now you can read that Blackberry net was used during data that was being used. And because Blackberry net was working, it means Kelly Khumalo called accused number 5 using Blackberry net. Tata Steyn. Hey, Steyn.
That's why the 2 hours was being pushed so much, because of that. It was being pushed because of that. It was mainly for that, nothing else. It needed to align. That's why we are in this 2 hour dilemma now. It's working again.
So now he pushed the 2 hours. When they added a plus 2 hours, the time that the Blackberry net was working was after he added the 2 hours. That initial time that
was not gonna match. It was not gonna match. It was not gonna stand the day. 2 hours is rescuing them again.
Now, yeah, Mnisi then said, then you came to the conclusion that a call was made, that data was used. And Steyn said, I used the download information and the information on section 205. Mnisi then said, you say there was communication that numbers ending 202 called number 4358 and data was used on the first call. And Steyn said, yes. And the second call, Mnisi, on the downloads, Steyn received from Mushwana. Then Mnisi asked him, that being the case, therefore, you came to the conclusion that a call was made based on this between 9202 and 3458. Steyn said, like I mentioned, that's not enough. You have to use the second page where I indicated I used the downloads, not section 205. Mnisi went back to the document that Steyn compiled for the state, and he warned him that it will be quite a tedious exercise because now he was going through transaction by transaction and the date and step by step. He started by highlighting a number linked to Kelly Khumalo ending with 458, and Mnisi said, let us concentrate on the date and time. He now took Steyn through the transactions from the morning of the 2nd of August 2014, starting with a transaction from 5 a.m. and 7:52 a.m. UTC. Steyn got upset and said that Mnisi now was putting words in his mouth. He said that it's 9 o'clock in the morning because what does UTC mean? UTC means it's a plus 2 hour rule. And even Steyn asked the judge for approval. He was looking, testing the waters to see if it's okay to do what he was doing. This was another tantrum moment, in my opinion.
It was. And he's been trying. He's been testing waters. Not even trying. I mean, he's getting away with a lot in that court.
It reminds me of Tumelo.
And all these witnesses, when they are cornered, they always find a way of making this thing. It's not even finding a way. It's there for them.
And Mnisi looked rather confused as well with Steyn's attitude. He said that he was diverting. Mnisi asked the court to instill couthness in the behavior of the witness. Because Steyn was very disrespectful, okay? And Baloyi asked for a short adjournment after that whole dramatic moment.
The funny thing is that the person who's worked for many years is in a situation where he cannot explain what governs the law that he is working under.
Yes.
What actually governs that?
Yes, he can't explain it.
Cannot explain it.
30 years.
That's something that is very worrying for someone who's got 30 years of work. Back here at Mechanic, thank you very much for gifting these members. Mamela, Stembile Mkwanaz, Ntantla Ndlovu, T, brown skin and Gladys Ngos. I hope that you use this membership properly and you maintain it. Thank you very much. And I know most probably you were trying to give a super chat. It's quite a tedious way, but every cent, everything counts. Thank you.
No, even gifting the membership
is part of giving back, because now we have gained 5 new members.
Yes. Membership is also very important.
They see the importance of becoming the membership. Yes, that's basically what I was looking at. I was worried about the fact that Steyn kept on talking about Section 205 rule and all that. Basically, he failed to answer that question.
No, he failed this Mali. So
what governs your duties? Because the rule of 2 hours cannot now be questioned, because we don't know exactly where you stand. Is that the rule of thumb that you do that XLY, then you have to do that? It's a mess, man. In fact, one can argue that you're supposed to -2 because you are 2 hours ahead. It just doesn't make sense. But we are here now. We have to listen to that. And unfortunately, because there's no money that much, you cannot bring experts. But really, if you were to bring an expert here, this would debunk the whole thing. Thank you, Lola, for your gift, our member. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lola.
We appreciate it. We celebrate you. That's worrying for me. Nisi was on a money. So as Khumalo, I heard him say, "Hey, nangoku George."
Did you hear him say that?
Yeah. Hey, George. I like the bravery in him. I think sitting next to Nisi after all these rains, it makes him a bit stronger. Let's like the video, guys. 456. It makes him a bit stronger. It makes him want to take them on, not fear. He's more braver. His face is I would say, is a bit loosened up.
Yeah. I also
he's
like
more relaxed. He's more willing to challenge what he needs to challenge as a lawyer, and that
I think most of us were like, take your time. The
time that Nisi took,
no need to rush.
It made him feel more confident, because he's the person who works with a lot of facts. So he normally needs time, so he does not get time sometimes, because the judge uses that. He sees it as an opportunity, in my opinion. When the time for giving them time comes, it makes it looks like they are wasting time. In my opinion.
Oh, yes. Well, Mnisi then said, you said there was usage of data. The number ending with 3458 was using data, and Steyn said that's correct. And Mnisi asked him, what about the second call? Steyn said it was also using data. And now Mnisi was asking him, was it WhatsApp, Skype? And Steyn said Blackberry net.
Hey.
So Mnisi said the person who initiated the call was 202, meaning accused number 5.
Yeah.
Steyn said, I don't know what he used. But 4358, the number belonging to Kelly, was using Blackberry.net.
He doesn't know what accused number 5 used. But he knows that Kelly received that call. There was a call that Kelly received. It's unfortunate that accused number 5 is Section 205 being absent is now used and pinned against him, as if he could have anticipated this.
So there's no Section 205 for this particular number of 9202?
For that year? 2014?
For 2014.
No. Only accused number 3.
And now Steyn is saying Kelly was using Blackberry net to call this 9202 number. But then...
How did he download it? How did he see the calls?
How did he see which calls were being made?
Did he get into an app? That's why I'm saying there is no clear answer when it comes to that. There's basically nothing. You are told that there was a call. How do you see there was a call?
How did he come to that
even get the
conclusion?
duration? Because for you to get a duration, you need to get to that net or whatsoever.
This is like too many loopholes. Finding out now, okay, you don't have a section 205 for the other number. And yet you've come to this very strong conclusion that Blackberry.net was used
and
to
when
contact
you ask about
accused.
these 2 hours, you just answer like it's XLY. That is a program. That is that the rule of thumb, or is that
He wasn't answering the question.
is failing to answer those pertinent questions that needs to be answered about the product itself? Is failing to answer what governs him.
And I can just imagine accused number 5 in 2014 with a Blackberry.
Yes, it just doesn't.
Conspiring,
No, it just doesn't make sense.
allegedly conspiring.
There might be Ngabis, some of them, but from Nongoma
with a Blackberry.
with the Blackberry, yes,
I'm trying to imagine that, guys.
and then calling through that net or whatsoever that Steyn thinks he uses.
So now they are telling us that an alleged Nkabi at the time of 2014 was walking around organizing his jobs with a Blackberry.
My other worry is distancing or staying distancing himself from the exhibits KK, triple K, 5C, and triple K5. It's amazing.
And
Yet he's here to testify about that.
He's saying he compiled triple K5C,
but he's saying
but he's
also
not
he's not
taking ownership of triple K5.
No.
But triple K5C is derived from triple K5.
He's here because of those exhibits.
So now we've moved to they called each other with these numbers from last year to no, they called each other using data in 2014. How many of you guys were making data calls in 2014? Let us be honest. No such thing existed.
It doesn't
in
matter.
2014.
There are fools who believe that this is it.
Even Blackberry, I don't remember people saying they were making phone calls via BBM.
No, I checked that.
People were
I checked
here.
that because the BBM would require you to have it's
texting.
not direct through the cell phone number. I even checked if you had to make an internet call, you had to go through that process of enabling. It was just tedious. It is tedious.
It was a tedious process that required data. How much was data in 2014? A whole Ngabi had the time to go buy data, to use a Blackberry, to text.
He's claiming those documents has nothing to do with Section 205, but yet he's also claiming that they are from Vodacom. He just printed them.
So basically, he could not tell us what 9202, the number that is alleged to be of accused number 5, was using data or airtime. He said he did not have the
Because
section,
there's no
205
section 205
or the download for that number of accused number 5. So Mnisi then said you can't tell if Ntuli used airtime or data, and Steyn said that's correct. He can only testify on what is before him. Nisi moved on to the call on the 15th of October 2014. Now, this is the call that is said to have taken place after the incident which occurred, or just before the incident that occurred on the 26th of October. That's like days prior to the incident. So Nisi then asked him, what is also noted here on the transaction on the 15th of October were cell phone numbers ending 202 and 458, according to allegations on this document, had an interaction of what nature, I don't know. Mnisi highlighted the gap in the activity on the downloads. The first activity, he said, was around 6:43 and then went to 17:33, the time of the alleged call between Kelly and Ntuli. So Mnisi then asked him, do you agree with me when you look at this information that there was a chronological flow of sequence?
Yeah, there was a disturbance of that order that you would expect from the call 1 to the last call, and according to the time those calls are coming through. which, in my own opinion, it was, in fact, Ministry was demonstrating the fabrication point that this data was planted. That's why there was no order anymore. From that process of not having an order, there is an order. There's order of how things are, and then all of a sudden there's a change of order. And then he talks about looking at the holistic picture of the documents and whatnot, which is not explaining what this is really trying to ask. I'm even worried that he's answering for something that he claims he did not extract. That's even worrying. That is defending that position. The question is, why not bring the person who downloaded?
Mshwana.
Maybe. Unless, of course, because this case has this, in my opinion, black thing that happens to people that needs to come and testify.
Well, as soon as he heard that there's supposed to be a sequence, Steyn said that he can't agree.
And not only he argues the issue of XLY extraction not being consistent, he went further to even fish on a small pond to say that maybe the deleting could be attributed to this disorder. I knew the deleting was put in purpose there to actually cater for flaws such as that, in my opinion.
The rebooting. The rebooting. Yeah, I
cannot even explain a small thing as in his document, LAC.
It's the cooking. Hi, Con. I'm so defeated, guys. I am so defeated. I'm like, this is going to take 5 more years. So Steyn then said, no, my lord, I can't agree. He said that it's clear to me that he, meaning Mnisi, is busy misleading the court. He said Mnisi started with 7677 at 01:19 p.m. And it's also on the 2nd of August. He told me, that he can't take a piece of something. He must take the whole day in consideration. So Steyn practically did not want to answer this question, even though after a long demonstration by Advocate Mnisi trying to help him paint that picture and to show him there's even papers that he got. Steyn no. He can't agree.
Lindiwe Pepe, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindiwe. May God continue to bless you wherever you take your funds and finances from. Thank you so much. So he said that if you want to analyze something, you must have a bigger picture. And can't take an apple and eat halfway and only work on the one half of the apple. You have to eat the whole apple to get something back. He said Mnisi is only using a piece of the 15th. He wanted him to mention everything and said that it jumps again and again. He further said that he has no control over how the XRY downloads it from the phone. And Mnisi then said the reason why this document does not give a chronological sequence is because some information has been planted in here. And the reason why was to create a narrative, a limping narrative that there was communication between the number 3458 and 202. So Steyn responded by saying, no, my lord, I can't answer that one. I'm not an expert on download side. I only receive information. I can say maybe they did try to delete some of the information and I work on this information. What I received, I worked with, and I can tell you, Sergeant Mshwana, what he got is what he received from the phone.
Yeah.
So he can vouch for Mshwana.
You see, the funny thing about that Mshwana, to say the least, is that this man submits that TSU is the one that does everything in terms of data processing further. And then, but Mshwana is answering Mshwana's independence in terms of that. There's no connection to that TSU team. Even when he's probing, saying, so Mshwana is a TSU member. The guy is like, no. So what is Mshwana's position there? Was he just accessing it because you also works on with Hawks? You were just accessing data willy-nilly.
Then Nisi asked him, would you agree that the document triple K4 is not a PDF? And Steyn said yes. And Nisi said, this document is capable of being converted. You can take some information out in order to make it user-friendly for the person using the document. And Steyn said, I didn't change anything. I worked on what I received. So, allegedly, in my opinion, these are all lies, Steyn. Where is accused number 5's Blackberry net connection via the call to Kelly Khumalo? Then, if you can come to court and say all of this, you know. And he said that the CD, you can't change what's on the CD. So Steyn is also denying making any changes. He just came here to continue to drag us further into the wilderness, in my opinion.
And it's creating more holes in this case, if you ask me.
It's not helping him. Ne?
No, not even by the states.
We were better off after his first testimony.
The confusion is even...
Now we are in the forest and we don't know how to get out. That's basically what's happening.
We are at a state where we would like to see this case end, basically.
But we don't know which is at the exit out of the wilderness. Because now, Steyn has just dug even a deeper hole for himself at this point. It's really bad. It's bad. So advocate Zitulele Khumalo for accused number 4 stood to cross-examine Steyn. Khumalo started with how Steyn was involved. And he said that he had already received the Section 205 before testifying on the 27th of July 2023. Steyn clarified that he was asked by investigating officer Brigadier Kininda. And Khumalo said the Section 205s are generated by an application which is made to a magistrate. Is that correct? And Steyn said that's correct. And he further said that it will then be sent to the service provider, either Vodacom or NTN. And Steyn said that's correct. Then Steyn said that after the investigating officer collects it, Khumalo then asked Steyn on the differences between the records the police had in their database and that of Vodacom.
Yeah, guys, let's remind people to like the video and watch the ads, guys. Thank you very much. We have seen the bit of change. We saw that you listened to us when you said watch the ad.
Yeah.
That is appreciated. We must mention
Highly
it.
appreciate it.
So please continue watching the ads as you watch along. So let's continue.
So this relates to the alleged two calls. Khumalo asked for the state to bring the record of the 27th of July 2023. And after receiving it, Khumalo read it and it said, I just want to draw the attention of the court that the Section 205 information, not one of the team members applied for it or applied for that, but it was stored in the database of the police. So that is why it was being applied for by previous investigating officers, but we did have access to that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's what it said. It read like that. Those are the words that came from Steyn's mouth when he was testifying last year.
They had their archives from the central database.
So Khumalo then said, we now know that you did not apply for the Section 205 records, but it was applied for by the previous investigating team. But I want to understand for you, is the central database of the police, what is that? That's what he wanted to understand from Steyn. And Steyn started off by explaining that, remember, when I started working on this case in 2020, then I was still a member of the Hawks. Again, giving us extra information that nobody asked for. Steyn does not want to answer questions, okay?
But you know what I find funny about that assertion? Is that at some point in this case, if you remember, about accused number 1 or 2, accused number 1, there was a claim that Spear was also there, and Spear, the General Spear, was working for Hawks at some point. And there was a bit of this theory that even he went to the house of the during the incident. There was that theory. It worries me when I keep on seeing people coming from the team of Hawks and the team of taxi violence, because we know what comes out of that. It's history and theories. In my opinion, it's a lot of history and theories that how people should be arrested. That's what we are seeing currently. It worries me that Steyn was working from that position.
The Hawks.
Couldn't he have just worked somewhere else? There's always a dot.
When you
dot.
bring the Hawks, Vele, we all think about General Sibia.
Yes.
You know, he was.
Yes. He was brought in the case. Even he was there.
And
even when he was suspended, allegedly was there.
Why would the Hawks go to the incident of the crime?
Why was he even involved?
Why was he there?
We asked that question in terms of the documentary. Then later on, we are hearing that he was on the crime scene, pulling the strings on the dark, allegedly. You know, that's basically the questions.
Now, he further said, Steyn, that as the member of the Hawks, they've got their own unit and their own office at the PCMC. That the priority, that's what he called the Priority Crime Management Center. And he said that their head offices are at Silverton. And he said that that's where the data is stored. So even if they receive, like in this case, the police will have to apply for a number. It's on their database. So he said at the same time, he was part of his department. So
of this central base. These people, when they are allocated to, it's easy to access. We want this information. We want to do. It's easy for them to access this information. And considering now that it was editable at some point, somewhere, somehow, then those are questions, are pertinent questions that should be asked about the credibility of this data. Same as the issue of a gun. So basically, once your information is there, you've got to pray that one day you don't get handpicked allegedly to serve for someone else's case. You know, that's how it feels like. They have access to everything.
And the fact that he said that they have access to the Section 205s.
Yeah, the issue of BBM, yes, you're right. It required a PIN, not a cell phone. So it wouldn't be picked up from replay. Yes, it required a PIN. But this one, we don't know. Maybe there is a Wi-Fi calling, but it was a process, man. It needed someone who's...
But now I'm still trying to digest a whole Nkabi.
Yeah.
BBMing.
Whose level of education is not that much. In terms of
I'm trying
understanding.
to visualize that. And the data access. I remember I would buy data and it would finish like in 2 minutes or something. Data was expensive back then.
Okay. Yeah.
It was expensive.
Yes,
the best way to communicate was to get those free minutes.
Yeah.
Or buy those minutes for an hour. That was the best form of way. And even BBM and WhatsApp at its early stages. So I'm just thinking to myself, I'm trying to visualize this whole thing, and it's not visualizable. The visions are not coming through. Like the visuals for me are difficult, you know. And he said he could access the Section 205s for these numbers on that very same database, and he said he could pull any number with a Section 205. Isn't that shocking? He's speaking as if he got them from Brigadier Ginida. That was his initial testimony last year.
Yes.
So now the fact that he had access, he could pull whatever Section 205 that he wanted. It's no longer that complicated process that he was talking about.
Section 205 per se, access information. My thinking is that database has everything.
And he said that the documents are in a PDF and Excel. So the PDF one you cannot manipulate, And Steyn said that the Excel one you could, but it's up to you. If you can change it, you can change it. But why would you want to change it? Why is yours different then, Steyn? You don't want to tell us that part. That part, you don't want to touch it.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. We keep on deflecting.
And also, in my opinion, I was like, why are you here? You are just here to waste our time. It's not like you are ever going to admit to anything or even changing those numbers. So why is he here? Like, I'm tired of him. I'm tired. Then Khumalo asked him about the access he had to that database and what was it for. And Steyn said that he only had access to draw it. So he's saying he could only pull it from the system. He didn't have access to edit it or manipulate it or do anything with it. But yet he was the one removing zeros and stuff and explaining about how he was... He said his only duty was to compare the CD he received from Brigadier Kininda to his, and Khumalo asked him if he had records of the service provider compiled by Ms. Feintillinger. And Steyn said that there is going to be a lot of numbers like he mentioned. He said that he won't even know if this guy's applied for someone else's number. He had the access to Pinky's PDF in 2020. He confirmed it.
But the thing is that they don't look alike.
And he has no explanation as to why they don't look alike. Khumalo then said, did you pick any differences with regard to your information and that of Vodacom with regards to the transaction of the 2nd of August 2014? And Steyn said no. So Khumalo then went and directed him to the time of 22/40/23. Everything else was the same. And Steyn said that he didn't see a difference. He went on, Khumalo, to direct him to the 15th of October, 1733-57, and Steyn, no difference, he said. Khumalo then pointed him, and he said, in relation to the Section 205 records of Ms. Feintillinger, then Steyn said yes. Khumalo then said, when one looks at the document, there is information of the call data. And here he was referring to the headings of the tables, your MSDIN, IME number, cell phone number. Do you remember the time when we were analyzing it together, family, and they were talking about the table and the labels on the tables? So Steyn said yes, and he said that it also depends on what you ask from the service provider. He said not all information will be provided. Now, not all information will be provided. So he's already saying that the tables are not the same with the ones that Pinky was testifying about. And Khumalo said in the event where you request for AMA data stream, where you use the airtime.
Yeah.
Khumalo then referred him to the data on an Excel spreadsheet and asked for it to be beamed. And Khumalo asked him, what is that? And Steyn said it's a PDF converted to Excel spreadsheet. Then Khumalo asked him, when did you first see it? And Steyn said in 2020. Khumalo then said, I'm going to be direct, that the PDF of Vodacom is not the same as what is there. For instance, in that document beamed before, there is a contact code. There's also LAC. You see that? And Steyn said yes, and cell ID. Then Khumalo said there is information that is in that document which is not in the Vodacom document. And Steyn said, no, I don't agree.
I was never going to agree with anything, Christian.
Yeah, but there's a saying in Setswana, it's just, I forgot it. You know? This is literally what's happening for my son. People, like a person denying something that is they can see. And it's some form of a gaslighting as well, to make it seem like you are the crazy one. Because that was the aim here. It was like Khumalo is the one who's crazy. From what he's seeing with Steyn, everything is the same. There are no differences. Even the judge at some point expressed earlier on, you guys, that it feels like the lawyers, the defense lawyers, are seeing what they are not seeing. You understand? It's a crazy time in that courtroom. So Khumalo then said, "Is there a contact code?" And Steyn said, "I agree with you." Khumalo then said, "You agree the code is not in the document?" And Steyn said, "That is the statement by Pinky." And then Khumalo asked him, "Miss Pinky Fantilengem compiled an affidavit and there were Section 205s attached?" And Steyn said, "That's correct." So Khumalo said, "The information there is not the same as the one with Vodacom." And Steyn said, "I agree, it's not the same." So Khumalo then said, after the long adjournment, "Can we go to the number ending with 358 on the 2nd of August 2014 at 2200? Remember, you told the court you did not spot a difference between the central database system and Section 205. And Steyn said yes. And Khumalo said, "I can spot differences." And now Steyn was saying, "That's not the conversion I got. That's not what I worked on." Then Steyn said, "I see there is a straight call there." And Khumalo's like, "Put on record for that transaction." And Steyn said, "I can tell you that is not my document. So for the record, please read it, Mr. Steyn." And Steyn said, "The 2nd of August 2014, the time was 22:10. I can tell you that is not my document." So he was denying that document. And Khumalo said, "What I'm putting to you from that information, the number you said belonged to accused number 5 contacted 4358, which is said to belong to Kelly Khumalo." And Steyn said, "That is not the document I worked on." Khumalo then said, "Where is the difference of the documents?" And Steyn said, "I don't even see it." Khumalo then said, "I'm going to show you worked on this document. During the process of my cross-examination, I'm going to show you that you worked on this document." And Khumalo reminded Steyn that even Advocate Nisi asked him to beam the document, and Steyn was even able to edit some of the information that was there. And Steyn said he does not know why Khumalo is showing him that document because he cannot take ownership of that document. So Khumalo then said, "Let's go to transaction of the 15th of October 2014. The data you had from the central data system of police, it was the same as J1 regarding calls made to Kelly." And Steyn said, "This is by the downloads." Then Khumalo said, "In your exhibit 1, you testified about contents of that information. That information, where did you get it from?" And Steyn said, "I did it for the court." And Khumalo then said, "Where does it emanate from?" And Steyn said, "The worksheet from Vodacom and the cell phone downloads." Khumalo then asked him, "I'm going to show you, this is the document you worked on." And Steyn said, "Let me answer before we waste time." Khumalo then, hi, George. That is offending me, please. It offends me dearly when you say I waste time. I had to sweat when I work around this. Please, you cannot say that. I did not address you as Mr. I respected you and addressed you as Colonel throughout, even last year when you testified. And I saw the judge giggle there, and I'm like, why are you not telling Steyn to respect the decorum of the court and answer questions? Can't go Tagala. You know, in the other court cases, I'm witnesses. They talk to them. They're like, "Mister, answer the question." Eh? Not in this one.
Not pass.
Not in this one. I'm a witness. They're upset. It's a mess. Then Khumalo then said, "But what were you saying?" And Steyn said, "No comment." He began to make no comment a pattern now. And that's when I was like, okay. So now he's choosing
like a spoiled kid
to throw another tantrum.
But also, we must say, some of it was those questions that would lead you into telling something that you don't want to tell. So it must not be looked at as tantrums only. Some of the questions were dangerous, were venomous.
Well, Khumalo then said, is it correct that the manner in which you draw the table is similar to the call data terms, the terms that are there and the terms that are appearing at the document beamed before court? Do you understand the question? And Steyn said, no comment. So Khumalo then said, is it correct that on the first column, on the 2nd of August 2014 at 22:55, there was a call forward, 3G Bethlehem? And Steyn said that's correct. Khumalo then said 22:56, there was an SMS received from 358. Steyn said correct. And then he asked him again, is it correct that 22:40:47, there was a call which lasted for about 110 seconds from the number ending 202 to 4358? And Steyn said that's correct. Khumalo then said on the 15th of October 2014 at 17:33, there's a call from 202, which is the number that is said to belong to accused number 5, to 4358, the one which is said to belong to Kelly Khumalo. And Steyn said, yes, I want to draw the attention of the court that that column and mine are not the same. I only have 12 columns.
So when I say which one are you using? You are even debunking Pinky's original information. That's central base. They fool you and said,
I get paper by central base, allegedly.
Icon.
Well, he said, that's not my document. That document got more information than I got.
Icon.
Shell phone. Ziyakala. Then Khumalo then said, if you look at page 23 of your exhibit, where it says the number Kelly Khumalo had contact with 202 on 2 occasions, and Steyn said that the cell phone downloads compared with Vodacom. So Khumalo then asked him, you said you are saying it was before and after. That was an error. So it was on the 2nd of August and 15th of October 2014 before the incident. And Steyn said yes. Khumalo then said, so the calls were made on 2 different occasions. And Steyn said yes. So Khumalo then said, you didn't forget to mention the 2-hour rule. You thought about it while being cross-examined by my colleague advocate Nisi. And the state objected, saying that in July 2023, Steyn mentioned
We're tired of reading that thing.
Abalo read the record to support his objection.
He read the record but did not do what he said he wanted to do.
Then Khumalo went to last year's record again on the 27th of July, where Steyn said that they needed to add 2 hours for longest number. Then Steyn said that the reason why his document differs from that of Pink is because it's 2 different documents.
And what did you get? Is that section 207 or?
Oh my God!
Is that section 205 or is that 207? What did this man have? Like honestly?
He said that the one Pinky worked on had the same case number. So at this point, in my opinion, Steyn will never acknowledge those discrepancies. He's acting like they don't exist, let alone he's the one, allegedly, who may have edited the Excel one, right? Allegedly. So,
it's the one who was downloading who did that.
Oh, the one who was downloading who did that. But from what I am seeing, Steyn has chosen a field. And his field is act like it doesn't exist. Ain't seen nothing, ain't doing nothing. I don't see those discrepancies. To me, everything is fine. Yeah. That's what he has chosen at this moment of his cross-examination. So Khumalo also made him read the number ending 1330 belongs to Arthur Mafokati. The number ending 9551 belongs to Senzo Meyiwa. 2nd of August 2014 at 22:40, Steyn could not say what happened there. He said that he did not work on that document. And then for the number ending with 1330 that is said to belong to Arthur Mafokati, he called the one ending with 358, which is said to belong to Kelly. Steyn said no comment. He didn't want to comment on that.
It's not his document.
it's not his statement. He'd rather go to his own document that allegedly has discrepancies, by the way. And he said that Pinky's statement has the number ending with 1330. He said that Pinky's statement does not include the cell phone downloads. At this time, it's like, this is unbelievable. Ngikhathele lo baba. Might as well leave. This is not helping. Then Steyn said that in his document, he only had GPRS stream and he didn't have the one from Vodacom that Pinky had. Baloyi objected also, claiming that Khumalo was asking an unfair question to compare direct calls with data calls. And Steyn now denied having Pinky's document. The one he has, it only had GPRS stream. So now Steyn had reached a level where he was denying even the Section 205s from Pinky Faintelengem of Vodacom. This is a mess. So on the phone of Kelly, Steyn also did not find that number ending with 9202 saved as NA. Do you guys know? He said he didn't find the number saved in Kelly Khumalo's phone. He got the downloads of Kelly Khumalo's phone, but he did not find this number of 9202. Khumalo then said that it was very important for Steyn to have mentioned that in his affidavit, and yet he did not. Steyn did not mention that in Kelly Khumalo's phone, the number ending with 9202, which is said to belong to Kelly Khumalo, to accused number 5, that is said to have been stored as NA, was not there. So yeah, Steyn said that he mentioned that at that stage, Kelly Khumalo was only a person of interest.
Oh, what a nice life problem.
So now it's between Pinky and Steyn. Khumalo requested for the matter to stand down until tomorrow so he could print another exhibit, but icon.
Yeah, they might come with another exhibit.
Icon.
Exhibit.
So now we are finding out that even that number that is said to belong to accused number 5, it was not even stored as NA in Kelly Khumalo's phone. Okay, fine. But why did you not mention
as NA? You're lying.
Why?
NA means that the number was not there. Number was not available. Non-applicable.
Non-applicable. That's what we use NA for. Right.
And then it was saved as NA.
As NA.
It is
lies.
Alleged.
Alleged lie, but it's lies.
Doesn't want to be called.
He doesn't want to be called a lie. Then what is this?
So he came back because they.
But now you are making it worse. You should have just stayed in your retirement and wait for those court papers to come if they were ever gonna come. Now this is embarrassing, man.
Right, guys, let's please like the video. Push the likes to at least 370. Let's see if you can do that. We're missing a bit of likes here. We have 561 people here and we have 277 likes. That's not like you guys. The night gang, the morning gang, you are mixed together now. One family, one happy family. Please make sure that you like the video and subscribe, man. Subscribe. And now you can call and make it short. It's like max 2 minutes. If
max
you really,
2 minutes.
If you really have to say more, please.
Hi, Steyn.
Mzansi, hello.
Good morning, family. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Yesterday was a beautiful day in the court, isn't it?
It was indeed.
Yes, indeed, dynamite come in small packages, you know?
Yeah.
Khumalo outdid himself yesterday. You know, his calm nature has now become very admirable to me. You know, he's like an enigma. You can't really say you know him and that he's predictable. You know, yesterday he showed a side of himself that we haven't seen before. You know, he was very assertive and maintained eye contact without fear. So that was beautiful to see. You know, he did a great job.
Yeah.
You know, so now with Steyn's experience coming to Steyn, you know, Steyn apparently has 30 years experience, right?
Yes.
But is it 30 years experience as a mobile data analyst, or he is 30 years experience in the SAPS institution? Because there's a difference here, right? People like to brag about how many years of experience they have and stuff like that. But is it 30 years of experience doing this job, or is it 30 years in the institution and maybe 5 years as a mobile data analyst, or maybe 10 years? You know what I mean? So that's so we really need to differentiate here, right? Yeah. So now, let's say for Pete's sake, we want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, he hasn't done anything bad, right? Let's look at it this way. Okay. This whole thing starts with the Section 205, right? Yes. The Section 205 is issued. The investigating officer or whoever sends it to the network provider, and then the network provider in this case is Miss Pinky. Miss Pinky would then retrieve the data from their system and then convert it into a PDF file and then send it over to the IO, right? And then the IO will then send it to Mr. Steyn, right? For analysis. Yeah. So now my question is this, right? The data, when it comes from the network provider, it's everything is on it, right? It's showing us the calls that were made, which ones were coming in, which ones were going out, what text messages were sent, and which towers the mobile devices were pinging at, right? So this information is accurate and it's sent across to SAPS. Yeah. So my question is, if the information is accurate, why does it need to be analyzed further? I think that is the question that I have. So Steyn should be able to tell us, why do they want to analyze information further if it is accurate from the network provider, right? Number one. And then number two, he needs to tell us, how did he do it? Okay? And like, what was the purpose? How and what? Yeah. Right? That's what he needs to tell us. Yeah. But he's not telling us anything, right? Let's say that he didn't do anything to the data. He just got it the way it was from Shoban or whatever his name is, and he just analyzed it. If he is an expert, right, he should be able to tell us what the abbreviations stand for. LAC, what does it stand for? And all those other things. He's an expert.
It's local.
But he failed to explain to us. Yeah, because if I'm an expert, even if somebody has manipulated data or did whatever they did to it and they pass it on to me, if I am an analyst and I haven't done anything wrong, I will just work on the data, be able to explain what I did and be able to explain the abbreviations that are on there and just to give a broad view of what happened. But this man is not able to tell us exactly what he did, and he's an expert, right? So now, this is my opinion here, right? My opinion, and I'll say allegedly. Yeah. Remember when we were listening to the previous proceedings? Yeah. It became apparent that they extracted or they used some information from some taxi violence, whatever case in the past, and they somehow threw those numbers in there. I'm suspecting that this guy is not able to explain what LACs and all those kind of things because he must have taken information from previous cases and just dumped it onto here, right? Because they didn't think that this case, would go this far. Yeah. I'm thinking that they thought that these guys would get arrested during COVID. It will not be on the media. And then it will quickly just, these defense lawyers will just quickly negotiate plea deals. And then these guys will just be sentenced and they'll go to prison and then everything will just disappear into thin air. Yeah. But then they did not expect these lawyers, even though they're from legal aid, they will put in this much energy into this thing to see justice done. So now that is why people are just scratching their behinds and not knowing what to do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And for him to sit there and insist to be called Colonel, it's quite disgusting. Like, what is this obsession with titles? He's not a colonel. He resigned. He didn't retire. So he can just go shove whatever it is in the way the sun don't shine. We're sick of this nonsense. Yeah, you guys take care. I love you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Zanzi, hello.
Hello. Njani?
Siyaphila njani?
Yeah, I just want to say something about this trial. we can go back to Mrs. cross-examination.
Yeah.
When you look at Steyn, when he responds there, you can see his attitude. There is something that they told him behind the scene. Even when he is responding, you can see he sometimes referred to the state, whereas he's being cross-examined by Mnis. And you realize that Mnis ended up saying, no, you are mine now.
Yeah.
You are no longer belonging to state. You belong to state when the state was cross-examining you. So even let's leave that one of Steyn and look at the attitude of Baloyi and the judge. You see, those two guys, you can see that they are going hand in hand, whereas the judge is not supposed to do that. So this case can be referred to as a mess. It's no longer a case, but is something that they want to, I don't know how can I put this in terms of proper English, but this is not a case. A judge must not become biased when it comes to deal with some issues in court. The judge must remain good in terms of dealing with this. But you can see from now, the judge is biased. When the state is trying to raise something, then he will become angry and change even the facial expression. So I cannot understand what type of a case is this one. Yeah. But maybe the South African law and all other experts must look at this and try to give South African the clear explanation on what does this case implicate to South African law. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep them coming, the calls, and keep the likes coming. Please, we still need about 100 likes, even more than that. Please keep the comments coming, like Nomsa here, Sasa, Steyn makabuyisele i-brown envelope bese ekhuluma iqiniso ukuze akhuleka akwazi ukudla imali yakhe ye-retirement then amanga bo. That is alleged, and that is the view of Nomsa. Right, getting into this. Good morning, family. This is someone on WhatsApp. Someone else said, hi all, I think Rata is aware of the lies, but Rata behaves like this, I think, because he wants, that's what, to be recused, so he may not be part anymore of the cooking. That's what someone wrote on WhatsApp. And someone is evening, Mr. Anonymous, that was evening at the time, I guess. No, it was morning. One thing surprised me, how did Rata know Steyn was unhappy about his rank as colonel? Rata came prepared, but Steyn never mentioned anything previous day about this colonel thing. Oh, sort of proving that they talk behind the scene or something like that. Is that what you are going at? Please like the video and keep the calls coming. Thank you. And 300, we need more. We're still hungry for more. Please keep, you can call on WhatsApp also. You can call on the number that is scrolling down below. There are no calls. We are dry today. Please do call. 2 people have called already. Someone, don't forget that advocate Mrs. alleged to be Guininda's relative. Hence, when he goes in hard, they are perplexed. Alleged to be Guininda's relative. I doubt it. But I heard those rumors. People have made many rumors. Mzansi, hello.
Hi, Mitano.
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Good, thank you. You're speaking with Shinga. I'm calling you from Sydney. Yeah?
Yes.
Sis Emily, I called you yesterday on WhatsApp. I told you the source data is always section 205.
Yes.
There's nothing about download from Steyn.
Yes.
So Pinky is the only one who can tell us the truth about what happened to a call. And I don't care what Steyn is using, download or no download. He cannot tell you that there was a call that was done by DDM or WhatsApp. He cannot do that. Yeah, because use of data. What if Kelly was watching a video on YouTube?
Yeah.
Use of data.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because does it mean when you're using data, you're making a phone call? No. In fact, if you are making a phone call, you use a very small amount of data, when you're making a phone call than when you're watching a video.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to just also bring up to speed, Sis Emily, I know you probably you didn't use BBM. BBM was using data for 60 Rand for the whole month.
Yes.
It was unlimited. You just pay 60 Rand and you go for the whole month. That data, you wouldn't do much on it, but you just pay 60 Rand. That's how I remember. And on a BBM, even if you're calling BBM or messaging on BBM, there was no phone number involved in BBM.
No.
It was a BBM pin.
Yes.
It was a BBM pin. So you need to come with 2 pins. Steyn needs to come with 2 pins.
Yeah.
That says this pin belongs to Emily, this pin belongs to Mr. Ano, and there was communication. You cannot link BBM to a phone number. Because Blackberry did not know your phone number at all. It did not exist in Blackberry systems. You were using a pin. That's why. And then now Steyn comes and says, "Oh, you see, it says datanet." That's when I saw. No, man, you can't do that. He can say that to our learned judge, yes. But I got the privilege of using Blackberry. I was using one of those Blackberries. I know. Right, and the source data, guys, source data. No matter what Steyn says, Section 205, whether we convert it to Excel or it's in PDF, that is the source data for call information and tower. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why you say I can't comment now when it's being taken on the data from Section 205.
Yeah.
That's why he's saying that. Yeah. Okay, that's my 2 cents. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What stopped me from saying all this is because they are talking now about Blackberry Net. Because BBM was Blackberry Messenger, right?
Yes. So Blackberry Net, what does it mean? It was done on a computer.
I failed to find it. I tried. I didn't find it.
It was done on a computer instead of a phone.
I just didn't find that nonsense.
It doesn't exist.
I don't know. Maybe
Blackberry.net.
You know, these people, they invent some of them. Allegedly.
Corey, they would rather go down. I'm not gonna just admit we made a mistake so that all of this can be over. No.
I looked for Blackberry Net. That thing does not exist. What were they saying? Blackberry.net?
.net.
That thing does not exist. I looked for it. Maybe someone else might find it. Let's see what Laura is saying. Yes, caller, I remember was the cheapest data. Yes, you buy data. Yes, you used to buy data for 60 Rand, which is 59 for the whole month. You are good to go. You can do whatever you do. I don't remember the codes though, but I remember I used to have a lot of list of girls there. But if they don't use the number, they don't have a pin, they don't use the Blackberry, then you'd suffer. It was a nice platform actually that seek to, I think, remove those apps such as Mixit, and it did actually.
So here I'm seeing that the account was blackberry.com, a Blackberry online account.
Yeah, then I can agree with that. That net thing, that man is taking chances.
.net, Steyn.
.net. Aiko. Right, guys, let's keep the calls coming. Don't want to say anything?
No, Aiko blackberry.net. Aiko. I'm scrolling. Nothing.
You just invented it. Maybe they should have Blackberry Net.
So instead of saying, because now at Khumalo's cross-examination, he was now acting like the discrepancies do not exist. In fact, he didn't even want to talk about the Section 205 from Vodacom at all. He didn't want to address it. And now we must believe this Blackberry.net thingy. Now it's sounding allegedly that it's being made up. So we would rather...
They're saying the apps are there. They took pictures, isn't it?
We would
Maybe
rather
they're talking
roll...
about BBM, these people.
We would rather roll with non-existent stuff
Nah, but
instead
the
of...
defense must look at that thing. Is it Blackberry Net, BBN, or BBM?
So there's also a BBM.
I mean, this is the same person who explained latitude, LAT, LAC.
I'm tired of Steyn, Bazalwan. I'm so sick and tired of him. He can leave.
Right, guys. Let us have the calls, or me, as tired as I am, I'm shutting down. That's it. That's it. If you guys are not calling, thank you very much for being with us. It was a short one. It's a bye from me.
Okay, guys, bye. We'll see each other again tomorrow. It's Friday, or today, rather today. It's Friday.